Good morning, sirs and ma'ams. So what are we going to be going over today? Well, we're going to be going over a couple of vigils that were just mocked and vandalized, and then the Republican violence that happened afterwards. We're going to be talking about Jimmy Kimmel and his termination from the Jimmy Kimmel Show, ABC, this and that, after the FCC president talked to Benny Johnson. We're also going to be talking about the socialist Zoran Mamdani, so stand by. All right, in our first video here, we're going to be looking at a very troubled young man, someone who, in my opinion, grew up with zero attention besides negative, and he starts with taunting, doesn't get the attention he required, so he keeps on bringing up the level of taunt, doesn't get it, and walks away in defeat. But I don't know, you be the judge. Yes, as you can see what he did, he tried to get a reaction from the people there, and he didn't get any of it. Now, this wasn't before him and another young lady started chanting F Charlie Kirk, and they did not get the reaction that they wanted. Another student said, dude, you're going to get expelled, and that's exactly what happened. Here's the story on that.
F Charlie Kirk, all my dead homies. He kept saying stuff like that and shaking his head. He's like, you're just going to talk to a brick wall. You're not going to get anything out of me.
Earlier today, Governor Greg Abbott responded to the video on X, calling for the expulsion of the students, saying, quote, "This conduct is not accepted in our schools. Expel this student immediately." While Allard and some students I spoke with agree he should be expelled, others say this student also has a right to freedom of speech.
They have a right, they're entitled to, as long as they do not incite violence, not mock.
I think he should not be expelled just for having his opinions.
Ultimately, University President Kelly Dampus did not condone this behavior and expelled the student. In a statement this afternoon, Dampus says in part, "I will not tolerate behavior that mocks, trivializes, or promotes violence on our campuses."
Yes, this young man was expelled.
Oh, that's terrible.
You seem kind of psyched.
No, I'm bummed.
And rightfully so. I would say so. To those kids that say he shouldn't have been expelled, these kids are probably socialists. You know, they're probably the people that blame themselves for being white, hate their character. You know, they think they have white privilege. That's probably those kids that said he shouldn't have been expelled. He's got freedom of speech as long as he doesn't entice violence. Well, this kid was absolutely trying to get a violent reaction, and I guarantee if he got one, he would have called racism, right? That's how these people, well, that's how they play their games. You know, it's all racism. That's all it ever is, just racism. It's not my terrible behavior. I'm always a victim. Now let's go to another scene where a young woman was, she was being filmed while vandalizing a Charlie Kirk memorial.
Yeah, love your neighbor.
Okay. If you disagree, so this is loving your neighbor.
I'm not gonna love a man who doesn't even.
You don't have to.
You're not loving your neighbor. You're not loving your neighbor.
It's not your job.
You're right. I'm not judging. It is not my right to judge, but it is also not your right to judge either.
No, we're here protecting somebody. We're not here judging.
And we're not the ones.
If we were judging, we would be taking your paint can and dumping it on you, but we're not, are we? Because someone has to pay.
I pay all this time. It will, hopefully. If not, it's a price I gotta pay. Yeah, I am sorry. I did not mean to step on any of the flags. I will admit that. I am sorry. I don't think I did step on those. I only came over here. Yeah, the paint covering the flags. All my friends in Chapel Hill are going to be like, she's iconic.
Look really far.
I miss Chapel Hill. I miss the education.
She was pushing people out of the way.
No, I'm more than happy to speak. Sorry, I'm more than happy to speak. you want to speak here? Yeah, we'll speak on
If someone wants to move these flags, I don't necessarily want to get any paint on them.
It doesn't really matter. You've already covered everything else in paint, so I don't
want to cover up the flag portion at all. Just focusing on that. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Dude, I'm so glad I'm not you.
You want to move the signs? Or... Let me get this, because she did cover you in paint, and she did put her hands on you.
She did. She pushed me. Yeah.
And I mean, look at all the violence that happened after that young woman decided to vandalize a Charlie Kirk memorial in the name of peace. It makes no sense. They're standing up for something by censoring something else. And what was so controversial about the words on this memorial? Well, they stated, if you believe in something, you need to have the courage to fight for those ideas, not run away from them and try and silence them. And at the same time, they're silencing these same words, which doesn't make any sense. It's called censorship, and that's what the American people are actually trying to fight against right now. And, you know, radical lefts versus, well, regular conservatives. And we're noticing that radical lefts are starting to expand in the United States. They're growing in numbers, as we've seen. We thought radical lefts were the people that all wore the masks, but as you've seen in the last couple of days, there's teachers and you know, administrators of every walks of life that were celebrating Charlie Kirk's death. And that is very worrisome. Absolutely. And the other thing that I noticed is that there was another younger person there who started to also vandalize this memorial. It was oblivious to everything that was going around him and was also trying to act like he was being kind, while also he probably has burnt the American flag in the past, but he started doing the exact same form of vandalism while the police officers were walking this woman away. That's very interesting, because it tells me that these people are all for censorship and don't understand that there's repercussions for their terrible, terrible behavior. All right, moving forward, I'm sure you've all seen that the Jimmy Kimmel live show has been taken off the air. And you're seeing also on Facebook all the Democrats say, oh no, we're about to live in Nazi Germany. This is now Russia, United States of Russia. Well, what they don't understand, because they can't see anything from their little perspectives of confirmation bias, is that, well, Republicans have been living like that for years now. When you have all of mainstream media pushing leftist ideas and socialist ideas and calling the other side Nazi, I mean, isn't that completely propaganda? Let me know what you think in the comments below. I wouldn't mind a comment. It helps the algorithm, helps my videos reach a wider audience. But this came immediately after the president of the FCC was on the Benny Show, and here's a little bit of that.
Conduct that has taken place by Jimmy Kimmel. It appears to be some of the sickest conduct possible. As you've indicated, there are avenues here for the FCC. So there are some ways in which I need to be a little bit careful, because we could be called ultimately to be a judge on some of these claims that come up. But I don't think this is an isolated incident. I mean, you go back to Representative Swalwell, and he had a tweet out last week where he was saying that, emphasizing that Charlie Kirk's killer was a straight white male from a Republican family that voted for Donald Trump. In some quarters, there's a very concerted effort to try to lie to the American people about the nature, as you indicate, of one of the most significant, newsworthy public interest acts that we've seen in a long time. And what appears to be an action by Jimmy Kimmel to play into that narrative that this was somehow a MAGA or Republican motivated person. If that's what happened here with his conduct, that is really, really sick. And I've been very clear from the moment that I have become chairman of the FCC. I want to reinvigorate the public interest. And what people don't understand is that the broadcasters, and you've gotten this right, are entirely different than people that use other forms of communication. They have a license granted by us at the FCC, and that comes with it an obligation to operate in the public interest. And we can get into some ways that we've been trying to reinvigorate the public interest, and some changes that we've seen. But frankly, when you see stuff like this, I mean, look, we can do this the easy way or the hard way. These companies can find ways to change conduct, to take action, frankly, on Kimmel, or, there's going to be additional work for the FCC ahead.
What kind of action would you see? I, at the very least, would like to have an on-air apology from Jimmy Kimmel to the Kirk family, to all of those who he slandered, because he did say that Charlie Kirk, he is effectively saying that our movement did this. Our movement killed Charlie, that Charlie was deserving of this, effectively. And we've seen that rear its head. This happens quite regularly, actually, on MSNBC and on other networks, where they're trying to victim blame. And what that does, Mr. Chairman, respectfully, is continues the lie and continues the threat level to say effectively that we have no share in this problem at all on the left. This is a clear-cut case. What would you like to see done at ABC?
Well, look, I think what you said there strikes me as a very reasonable, minimal step that can be taken. I mean, obviously, look, there's calls for Kimmel to be fired. I think, you could certainly see a path forward for suspension over this. And again, the FCC is going to have remedies that we could look at. And again, we may ultimately be called to be a judge on that. But yes, this also strikes me as sort of conduct that to some extent shows some sort of desperate irrelevance. I mean, we're sort of exiting an era where the three main legacy broadcast networks could control and dictate the narrative to the American people. And one of the things that President Trump did when he ran for office, he ran directly at that legacy media establishment. And he smashed the facade that they get to control what we say, what we think, the narrative around events. And we're seeing a lot of consequences that are flowing from President Trump doing that. I mean, look, NPR has been defunded. PBS has been defunded. Colbert is retiring. Joy Reid is out at MSNBC. Terry Moran has gone from ABC and so now admitting that they are biased. CBS has now made some commitments to us that they're going to return to more fact-based journalism. And so I think you see some lashing out from people like Kimmel, who are frankly talentless and are looking for ways to get attention. But, their grip on the narrative is slipping. That doesn't mean that it's still not, important to hold them to the public interest standard. That's what we're going to have to do.
Yes, the only people that really saw the Jimmy Kimmel show working in the public interest are, Democrats. I think that's very interesting. Also, that CBS has told the FCC that they're about to move towards, more fact-based reporting. That tells you something, doesn't it? Now, CNN had some words to say about this as well.
Kimmel was expressing what we've heard some other liberals say in recent days, that the motives are unclear and that maybe the suspect in this case was a Republican or was some sort of far-right fringe figure. Of course, there has been a lot of discussion about that in recent days. There's a lot of evidence pointing in other directions about the suspect. But Kimmel was on the air talking about this, making a very serious commentary amid his jokes in his monologue Monday night. Here's where it became interesting earlier today. The FCC chairman, Brendan Carr, went on a far-right webcast and condemned Kimmel and urged ABC to suspend him. He also talked about possible regulatory punishments of Disney because there are lots of different stations that have licenses with the FCC. Within the past hour, we've heard from a big owner of stations that have affiliations with ABC, a company called Nexstar, saying that they were going to suspend Kimmel's show on their station. So in other words, about 24 stations were refusing to air Kimmel's show tonight as a result of this controversy. And then, following word that some of those stations were basically revolting against Kimmel, Disney, the parent company of ABC, decided to yank the show entirely.
Yeah, probably not best to poke fun of somebody so influential as Charlie Kirk the week of their death on your comedy show, which was not a comedy show anymore. It was a propaganda show. I've seen a lot of clips of Jimmy Kimmel, and they never give any grace to Republicans. I mean, a guy that cried the night that Trump was elected president, that's very interesting. And doesn't that tell you something? I mean, this guy is performative for a reason, because it worked. It worked, and he is now off the air. that is a good thing. The only person I feel bad for in this whole situation is Guillermo. I loved Guillermo. Guillermo was a funny guy. I don't think he ever did any political commentary. He was just there to joke around to make the show a little bit more lighthearted, because Jimmy Kimmel just brought that show down. I mean, what's coming next? I hope The View. And our final story of the day is CNN did a poll on capitalism versus socialism in modern society. And I think we know now why Zoran Mamdani is leading in the polls in New York.
You know, I'm not really surprised that Kathy Hochul decided to, in fact, endorse Zoran Mamdani, because the fact is, socialism is not a four-letter word in Democratic primaries, not among Democratic voters. It's a five-letter word in the minds of a lot of Democrats, that five-letter word being great. Look at this, net popularity of socialism among Democrats. You go back to 2010, it was plus 7 points. Look how high it is now, up like a rocket, up to plus 36 points. That's a jump of nearly 30 points on the net popularity scale among Democrats in just 15 years. And I was looking at the polling from New York City, and what you see is the clear plurality of New York City Democrats think the idea of having a socialist mayor is a good idea, matching what we see nationally. The bottom line is socialism isn't a dirty word among Democrats at this particular point. It's actually a word that, when attached, Democrats seem to like it.
That's a huge jump, and that's not that long ago, let me add.
No.
What about capitalism?
Yeah, okay, so if all of a sudden socialism is now a five-letter word, great. What I would say is capitalism in the mind of Democrats is a three-letter word, bad. What are we talking about? Net popularity of socialism among Democrats. Look at this trend. It was plus 8 points in 2010 on the positive side of the ledger. Look at where we are in 2025. Down. Falling through the floor at minus 13 points. That's a drop of over 20 points in just 15 years. So we see the exact opposite trend that we see at socialism, which is up, up and away. What we see with capitalism is down, down, down through the floor.
Okay, we're talking about Democrats here. What about if you look at the larger population, Harry? Is it the same type of thing?
This is where the danger is for Democrats, because if socialism plays in Democratic primaries, it does not play in the general electorate. What do we see going on here? Net popularity among all adults. Capitalism is on the positive side of the ledger at plus 12 points. Socialism way, way, way underwater at minus 18 points. So that's capitalism running away by 30 points over socialism. That is why Republicans are thanking their lucky stars if Mamdani, in fact, wins the general election, because they feel like they can play off of him, because socialism may play in New York City among Democrats, but among the general electorate, Donald Trump and the Republicans are saying, hey, look at this socialist mayor in New York City. This is what we're dealing with. So again, something may play in Democratic primaries. It may play in the very Democratic city of New York, but among the general electorate, Republicans are salivating at the idea that they can run against a Democratic socialist being the mayor.
Now, what's the real reason that Kathy Hochul endorsed Zoran Mamdani? It's not because she actually wants him to be the mayor of New York. She's a moderate Democrat, and she is pro-Israel. As we know from Mamdani and his religion, he is anti-Israel. And in return, he did not endorse her back, which, I mean, the popularity of socialism in the country, and especially New York and Democrat-run areas, is massive right now. So she thinks she's going to get points for endorsing him, but once he becomes mayor, what's to tell what's going to happen with New York? I don't know what's going to happen, because in my opinion, he is going to be the next mayor of New York, and that is terrifying. And CNN said that Republicans are salivating. No, they're not. Republicans don't want anything terrible to happen anywhere, no matter what your race, creed, or religion is. And the moment that he starts putting socialism in effect, the taxpayers, the ones that put the most into New York's government, are going to start moving away. And then he's going to want federal funds for all these tragedies of ideas that he has: free health care, free grocery stores, free public transportation, free. Let me give everyone handouts so you don't need a job. New York City is going to be the next dumpster fire. Well, a bigger dumpster fire than what it already is. Oh, one last thing before I let you go for the day. And this is very interesting, because Antifa stands for, anti-fascism. They love socialism. And there's a rise in our country of these radical leftists. Now, Donald Trump just put out on his Truth Social, he said, "I am pleased to inform our many USA patriots that I am designated Antifa a sick, dangerous, radical left disaster as a major terrorist organization. I will also be strongly recommending that those funding Antifa be thoroughly investigated in accordance with the highest legal standards and practices. Thank you for your attention to this matter. That is a good thing, because Antifa, I've been saying this for a while now, Antifa should have been designated a terrorist group a while ago. Now, before you close out, I mean, that is what I have for you, but before you close out, I found a video of Charlie Kirk inviting Erica onto his show after they were first engaged, and it's beautiful. So stand by after my outro for that. But that is what I have for you on this beautiful, beautiful Thursday. If you found this segment entertaining, or if you learned anything, I wouldn't mind a subscription. I really appreciate the support from everybody. I'm up to 411 subscribers now, and wow, thank you so much for your support. Like I said, when I get to 500 subscribers, I'm going to do something very special for everybody. Everyone you're going to be included in the episode. I really appreciate it. If you haven't commented yet, leave a comment. Comment below. If you don't know what to comment, just leave an emoji. I wouldn't mind the support. For the rest of the day, please get outside. Have fun today. Get some PT in. Hydrate and change your socks. I'll talk to you in the next one. All right, bye.
I'm not going to be able to focus sitting this close to him.
Hi. You ready? What?
Hello. I'm not going to be able to focus looking right at you. I'm just going to be staring at you.
Hello.
Wow.
Ready, Terrell?
Hold on.
We're rolling?
We're not.
All right, you'll be switching? All right, I'll count it down.
Wait. I'm kind of nervous, you guys.
She's nervous, which is why we must get going. All right, we ready?
No.
Okay, 3, 2, 1. Hey, everybody. Welcome to this episode of The Charlie Kirk Show.
You're going to have to do it again.
Introduce yourself.
Is that what you're going to say?
Hey, everybody. Welcome to this episode of The Charlie Kirk Show.
You're so handsome.
I'm engaged. Would you like to introduce yourself, or should I introduce you?
This is mortifying.
How would you like me to start? All right, we'll try it again. Hey, everybody. Welcome to this episode of The Charlie Kirk Show. Joining me is the most special guest, my fiancée, Erica. Welcome to The Charlie Kirk Show.